Hey guys, welcome to my class Pattern for Beginners. This is your instructor Amit and this is class number 11. Today we are going to talk about mutable and immutable objects and how it affects passing values to functions, or rather how are these type of objects affected when they are passed around between functions. So we have talked about how strings are immutable and how lists are mutable. Means that the contents of a string once defined cannot be changed, whereas a list can be changed at any time. So let's see what effects we observe on these types as they are passed around between functions. Okay. First, you have to understand a basic concept, that is, everything in Python is an object. Pardon me. So whenever you say something like a equals to 5, now the variable a refers to an object that has the content 5. Think of an object as a square box or whatever in a 2D plane having the value 5 written on it, and a points to that object. Something like a points to this square object, whatever. Yeah, cover on top. Okay, so when you say equals to 5, the variable refers to an object that has content 5. Similarly, when you say a is equals to the list having the elements 1, 2 and 3, so the variable a now refers to an object that has the content of type list with the value 1, 2 and 3. When you pass around objects, you will see a different behavior based on whether the object being passed is mutable or immutable. For example, let's create a new file for today. File number 11.py. Sorry guys, I seem to already have this file, so I'm just going to open it. You guys create a new file 11.py. I actually have a file 11.py. Okay. So let's write some code here. First, let's write something on this shell. Okay. So we say x is equals to 2. This means x refers to an object with the value 2, and now you say y equals to x. Now this variable y also points to the object that x was pointing to. So if x was pointing to a box that had the content 2 written on it, now y is also pointing to the same object, and you can check it by saying y is x. Oops. And this is true. And now if you change x, say x is equal to 4, you print y is 2 and y is x is false. Now what happened when you set x equals to 4 is that whenever you try to change a mutable type, it creates a new instance of that type. So when you set x is equal to 4, because x was already pointing to an object that was immutable, so a new object with the value 4 was created. So x was now pointing to this new object, whereas y was all pointing to the previous object, and hence y is not equal to x in this case. Okay, another example. Let's see what happens when values are passed around functions. So we declare a function a. When you declare a function change, it takes an argument a and it sets a to the value 10. And let's say on the outside we had x equals to 5, and now you try to change x, print x. So x was 5 and even after calling the function change, the value didn't get changed. Why? Because okay, so for this you must understand another thing. What happens when you call a function and pass it a value? So when I pass here, I have declared an object with the value 5 being pointed to by the variable x. Now I call the function change on x. So this function change has a local variable a. The variable a gets a copy of the variable x. So a also now points to that object to which x was pointing. You can check this by saying print a is x. Also you can print if a is equal to x, or they have the same content. Now let's see, both are true. Means the local variable a got a copy of the variable x. So x was pointing to this object and a is also pointing to the same object. But when you say a equals to 10, you are trying to change an object that is immutable. So a is now pointing to a new instance of an object with the value 10. And now if you say print a is x, this should be false. Yeah. Okay. So when x is passed, I'm just going to state it again. So when x is passed, the local variable a points to the same object as x. After you assign a new value, since numbers are immutable, a points to another object with the value 10, and the object that x references is still untouched. Some objects like strings, tuples, and numbers are immutable. Altering them inside a function or a method will create a new instance, and the original instance outside the function is not changed. Other objects like lists are mutable, which means you can change the object in place. Therefore, altering an object inside the function will also change the original object. For example, we want a code that changes a list. Okay, we declare a list P having the elements 1, 2, and 3. We want to change the list P, and now print P. So when the change list function is called on B, the local variable a is passed the value b, and both of them point to the same list. But here we are trying to change the list being pointed to by both a and b. But since list is a mutable type, therefore a will be able to change the original list. So now if you say print a is b, and after this also print a is b, let's see what happens. Both are true, and p also gets changed, a also gets changed, because they are all pointing to the same object. And since it was of a mutable type, the changes get reflected everywhere. So briefing you again, if a function accepts some mutable argument, you are safe assuming that your function won't be able to modify a value. Mutable variables like lists are passed by reference. Basically the pointer gets passed, and so if a function accepts a mutable argument, it may modify the contents of that mutable variable outside the scope of that function. Another example is when you are doing something like, in your shell let's write s is equal to hello, and now when you say s plus equals to world, now you print s, and s is hello world. you're not modifying the string object bound to s, the previous hello bound to s, but creating a new object and binding it to s. For example, let's say s was hello, right? And you say x is equal to s. So now if you say x is s, this is true. Now you say s plus equals to world. Now you print x is hello, print s is hello world, and now is x equal to s false. Okay. So another example is, let's try to modify a list in a function. So we'll put this code in triple quoted strings, so it doesn't really matter to us. Let's write another function. Try to change list contents, and it takes the list as the parameter. It print got. What did you get? You got the list as input. Now you try to change this, the list dot pen. Say I want to pen 4 here. Print change to the list. Okay, you declare an outer list having the values 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and now you say print before outer list is equals to outer list, and now you call the function try to change this contents on outer list. Now print after outer list, now after having called the function try to change the list, is equal to outer list, and let's see what happens. Hit F5. Okay, so your outer list has the elements 1, 2, and 3. So you print before the outer list was 1, 2, and 3. Now you call the function try to change this contents, and you pass the variable outer list. The list, which is a local variable in the function try to change the list contents, gets a copy. So try the list and outer list reference the same object. So the list, when you try printing the list, it's also the same list. Now you try to change the list, and since both of them are pointing to the same object and lists are mutable, so changes are reflected, the list, you append 4 to the list and try to print the list. The list is 1, 2, 3, 4, and you come outside and you try to print the outer list, and the outer list is also the same. So both things were changed. Okay. Now in another example, let's try to do something else. Okay, let's copy our code here, put the previous one in quotes. Okay. Okay, so let's try to do something else. Okay, let's try to change the list here and say here, and we can not lie. Okay, print set to. Okay, now what happens? So you try to change the list contents. Outer list is 1 2 3. Before, outer list is 1 2 3. Now you change the list contents. Outer list is passed. This variable the list references the object that outer list references, and you see it when you print the list, which is the first line. So these two are the same output. Now you change the list reference. So what you do is the local variable the list now references a new list having the contents, and we cannot lie. Outside, the outer list was still referring to the list 1 2 and 3. So outer list is still referring to that list. The list is now referring to another list. So you print the list and the contents are changed because the list now points to another list. Outer list was pointing to the same list and the contents are the same. As a final example, let's take a look at strings. So we know that strings are an immutable type. So there's nothing we can do to change the contents of the string. For example, let's write another piece of code with these in quotes. Okay. So we say we try to change string reference. Okay, we pass it the string. Again, we say got the string. Alright, now we try to change the reference here. New string. Okay, print set to the string. Outside, let's have an outer string as hello world. You try to change string reference outer string. Now you print before outer string, print after outer string. Let's see what happens. Okay. So before we had the outer string saying hello world. You pass the reference to this string to this function. Outer string gets passed. The string variable now points to the string object which has the contents hello world. Now you try to access this by printing it, and it is hello world. Not surprisingly, now you say the string is new string. So strings are immutable. So an assignment will create a new instance of an object. So the string now points to another object with the contents new string, and when you try to print the string, a string with the contents new string is printed. And outside, outer string was still referring to the original string, and when you print outside string, even after the function call, it's the same hello world. So guys, I hope this lecture was clear to you, and it adds a lot of value to your understanding of functions and how values are passed. In case you have doubts, do email, do ask on the page, and take care, keep up the good work. See you around.